Здравствуйте. So often portrayed as villains in American cinema with superhuman strength and over-exaggerated accents, Russians are at the mercy of a stereotype that shows just how truly ignorant U.S. citizens are of the motherland. I too was part of this statistic, and I'm guessing, like you, had this view of Russia. The Russian from Rocky Balboa, a guy who did his thinking with his fists, and who was abnormally large and ate flesh. Well, I made up the last part, but you get the idea. And it took until I met Yuzhin Bubkov, my best friend from Russia, to shed that prejudice. And now I have a fondness for Russia that I wish to share with you, because in a world so full of hate and distrust, I think it's important that we get along and not just see our differences but our similarities. So I'd like to talk about some Russia backgrounds, some unique cultural difference between Russia and the United States, and finally I want to teach you how to speak Russian, just the basics. So the first, a general background of Russia, and these statistics are according to worldbank.org, which is a federal educational site meant to educate people on statistics in different countries. So Russian is spoken by 277 million different people in the world. It's the 5th most spoken language, and it's not just spoken in Russia, but Ukraine, Kazakhstan, all the bordering countries of Russia, the Slavic region. It's huge. It's about 1.8 times bigger than the United States. So big country means different regions, which mean different cultural habits as well as customs, just like the West Coast, East Coast, and the United States. So that's a cool similarity. Well, another awesome thing is it's home to 4 religions: Judaism, Islam, Orthodox Christianity, and Buddhism. And the reason why this is cool is because architecture in Russia is beautiful. It's world-renowned, and when you see a building, you know it's from Russia. And the first one screams Russia. This is my first example. I have 3, and they're all from Moscow. This is St. Basil Cathedral. Gorgeous Arabian Night domes on the top, typical Russian building. Second as well is Ivan the Great's bell tower. Beautiful, beautiful. You can see different influences in here as well in the architecture. And my third example I wanted to show you, because not every building looks like this, is kind of Christian in roots. And this is the State Museum. You can see those long towers, no domes or anything. And it's kind of Catholic looking. Very cool. Very, very cool. So that's the general background of Russia and gives you kind of a good idea. So now I want to dive into some cultural differences. Very unique. The first is folk dancing. Every culture, of course, has folk dancing. You know, but Russia's is particularly interesting because it's heavily influenced by ballet. And ballet is a beautiful art form. It takes a lot of dexterity, agility, strength in the legs. And it's no joke. It's hard. And I'm sure you've heard of the song Kalinka. I'm going to show you a video. You can hear that song. And oh yeah, I recognize that. Well, that's a song typically done in folk dancing. Well, 2 you're probably not familiar with are the troika. The troika is a dance done by a man and 2 different girls. And the berezka is done by women. They wear these long, elegant dresses, and you can't see their feet, and they appear to be floating. It's my best description of how to describe it. Floating on the ground in a circle. It's gorgeous to watch. I highly recommend it. Second unique thing is my favorite thing about Russia, which is Russian humor. I struggled to find words to describe this, so I asked my best friend Yuzhin Bubkov, who's a native, still living there, and you know, he said, Russian humor, Austin, is, well, Russians have an open soul. You know, we're not all terrorists. We have an open soul. That's what he said, and I thought about that. And it makes sense. They hold nothing back. Open-minded. No reservations about embarrassing themselves at all. And they make you laugh so incredibly hard. So this is my example, which has to be shown. It cannot be talked about. But this is Russian humor at its best. And this is Kalinka, the song I was talking to you about. So, this is just a random guy. Alright. So that's Russian humor, and enough said, I think, after you saw that. So hopefully I found something here to pique your interest to learn a little bit about the language. Russian language is very complicated, especially grammatically. And it's like a Romance language. It's broken into a formal and informal when you're speaking to someone. And I'm only going to teach you one informal for time restraint, which is Здравствуйте. and that's hello, and you say this to someone older than you, or someone you respect, or someone you're unfamiliar with. Здравствуйте. Well, so the next examples are all going to be, we're talking to a friend. So, hello, привет, привет. If you want to say, how are you? Как дела? Как дела? And typical response in Russian is, I'm good. I'm. Я хорошо. Or maybe you're tired. Я устал. Thank you. Спасибо. Спасибо. And my favorite, you're welcome. Пожалуйста. And the j sound is unique, no English equivalents. Пожалуйста. And then you want to say goodbye to your friend. Пока. Пока. So that's the basics in Russian communication. So I hope you learned something today and you can take something with you. I hope you learned a little bit about Russian backgrounds, some unique cultural differences, though there's way more, and a little bit of how to communicate. So the next time you're walking down the street and you bump into a Russian, or if you're at a bar, I hope you can say hello or здравствуйте and bring our two cultures closer together. Thank you.